For ages, I thought BS3 would be the episode that gave me the most trouble. Oh boy, was I wrong. Hi, I'm Big Clinky, and welcome back to Heroes of Light and Shadow, and oh boy. This chapter! Oh, I clearly had no idea what I was getting into when I did this one. This one gave me more trouble than every other BS episode combined. Seriously, I almost have as much failed footage of this chapter as I do of actual normal recorded footage. Yeah, I've got about 8 parts of fails here. Oh boy, the fail channel's really gonna be busy with this one. So, anyway, apparently, it's been 2 years since, the first BS episode, and we find out that, Medius has lost his patience, and things are about to get bad. Yes, this chapter is not called The Beginning for nothing. This is basically the one that leads directly into the events of Shadow Dragon. And, whoa, we see Medius himself. In fact, I believe this is in fact the only time in this entire game you get to see Medius' human form. I mean, admittedly, it is taken directly from Shadow Dragon, but, you know, the only times you actually see him in this game is when he's in Shadow Dragon form, which, ironically, he never actually went into in the game called Shadow Dragon, which is really weird. Anyway, we also see his subordinate, Bulzark. Now, interestingly enough, weird fact about this guy, in the original version of VS Fire Emblem, he had the same portrait as Frost, the allied bishop from Episode 2. That is, very weird. Also, another interesting thing about Bulzark that we'll find out when we actually get to the chapter. In fact, he's quite unique among BS Fire Emblem bosses, really. And, for some reason, the generic soldiers are actually blue here, because, now, the Sable Order is actually on your side, so, yep, we'll be playing as this guy, so, yeah. This is gonna be interesting, and awesome. Then again, I mean, it's not as if we've never played as him before, have we? I mean... You didn't hear anything? So, this is basically the accumulation of everything that's happened over the 3 episodes. For some reason, Episode 2 is the only one that doesn't involve this guy at all. And doesn't really seem to... All of the others seem to have some kind of, you know, continuing plotline among them. But Episode 2 just kind of sticks out as unrelated. It's sort of weird. I mean, admittedly, it does introduce Hardin, who, spoilers, will become important later on in this one. You probably already know that if you've seen the main story. So, yeah. Now, here's something kind of interesting. If you go back and read the Shadow Dragon script, this is actually kind of a plot hole going by Shadow Dragon's interpretation. In the English version of Shadow Dragon, they mentioned that Medius specifically wanted the royal family of Arcania wiped out, and that Medius was coming to kill Nina, not take her hostage. Yeah, that kind of contradicts the events that are being depicted here. Unless the version of the dialogue that happened in Shadow Dragon was actually slightly changed from the Japanese version, and the Japanese version did not conflict with this. But anyway, just pointing that out, for the time being, Nina is, we're gonna flee, and yes, Camus is finally turning his back on, Dolo. And of course he's gonna be in danger, but he's awesome, so, yeah. It looks like he's finally doing something smart for once. Now, right, one more thing I probably want to point out here. The music you'll be hearing here is, of course, The Proud Commander. And, you know, I've gone on and on about how annoyed I am at the massive overuse of The Proud Commander throughout this game's main story. Here, it actually fits, because it's being used as the theme for the guy whose theme it was originally. And BS Fire Emblem really is the story of this guy, so... yeah. Unfortunately, he's going back to his whole, oh, I'm so loyal to my country thing. Yeah, Camus really started the whole archetype in the Fire Emblem series of honourable knight who's not evil in the slightest but still fights you out of extreme loyalty to their country. You might notice Eldegarn, known previously as Eltershan, from Fire Emblem 4, pretty much fits this stereotype too. Of course, in his case, that ends up backfiring spectacularly when his own lord has him executed. Yeah. Well, that was kind of an interesting examination of the stereotype. In this game, his loyalty doesn't exactly come back to bite him that much, but he does come off as a little stupid for it, and yeah. And now we get Nina's theme coming in. I believe in Shadow Dragon, this theme didn't appear until Nina actually started talking about Camus back in the chapter before you fight him. So it kind of makes sense. It's sort of the two of them's theme, really. But yeah, this theme was actually added for Shadow Dragon. The original Mystery of the Emblem or the original Dark Dragon and the Sword of Light did not have an equivalent theme for Nina, really. So, yeah, I actually kind of like this one. It gets the point, and it's pretty sad sounding, so... Anyway, back when I was talking about, was it this guy? Yeah, okay, other members of the archetype include, the first one that comes to mind is Gale from Fire Emblem 6. In his case, you can actually talk to him with another character, but he still doesn't join. Not only that, but all the evidence points to him actually being able to join. He has growth rates programmed into the game. Fire Emblem 6 just about has a pre-promote available for every class except Wyvern Lord, which Gale happens to be. Essentially, all the evidence points to him being recruitable, he's just not. So in that case, you almost think he was planned to be recruitable, but they cut it at the last second. So, anyway, back to this situation. I'm going off topic. So, anyway. That seems a little harsh to me. And, well, that kinda came out of nowhere, but... yeah, this was, implied back in Shadow Dragon, but never explicitly stated until now, really. Of course, it was so heavily implied, it was pretty obvious. You didn't really need this scene to tell it to you, really. But, yeah, as she says in Shadow Dragon, she hated him once, but, her feelings eventually changed. Well, she certainly does in this chapter, at least, because, yeah, unlike in the other one, I'll talk about that later, she can't really defend herself in this one, and, well, I guess with her entire family massacred, that kind of makes sense. She has been through an awful lot throughout the Arcania sub-series. It's kind of depressing what she has to go through. And she doesn't even really end that happily, unless you assume that she disappears to wherever Sirius disappeared to. So anyway, right, we have, Belf here. Or Virgil. Wait, what am I saying? He was never named Virgil. Oh, that whole fiasco that happened with the fan translation. I really don't see why that happened. I can kind of understand, but, they just got so much random hate from... Anyway, so, yes, now we've got the Sable Knights here. This was the three of these guys' first appearance. Interesting enough, it's actually incorrect to refer to them as the Sable Knights or the Sable Order, because in a few seconds you're going to see why. Well, actually, I think he'd be pretty much fine on his own. But of course, he's always thinking about his country, despite the fact that the king is a total wimp. And basically, yeah, kind of. Well, admittedly, apart from him, just about everyone in Groot is probably a pretty nice guy, but, and yeah, this is an interesting thing. This was brought up back in, I believe, Chapter 1 of the main game, which was, yeah, essentially Garneth took, the Prince and Princess of Groot hostage to manipulate the king. Except the king was so much of a coward, he didn't really need that leverage. So, he basically just kept them to, it turns out that the hostages were more to prevent the honourable people of Groot from rebelling. And they did a pretty good job. And here you'll see why it is incorrect to refer to them as the Sable Knights. They are ex-Sable Knights even now. They've deserted the army, and you know what? That, come to think of it, that explains why Marth's army didn't kill them back in Shadow Dragon. Because they weren't with the army then, they deserted. You know, it's kind of weird, there are a lot of theories as to what happened to them after this chapter. I'll talk more about that at the end. I think they'd have to really be in hiding somewhere during the entire events of the last game, because, again, for what they did here, they would have been branded traitors. And they're not with the Groostian army anymore, so, yeah. So, basically, yeah, we're back to the Dolurina. Now, something about Dolur that always confused me. They're a kingdom of Manaketes that serves a dragon who hates humans with a passion. Why is it that they have human soldiers amongst their ranks? This is one aspect of the Arcadia series that always confused me. I just don't see why there would be human soldiers among Dolur, unless it's like the Fire Emblem 6 manga Hasha no Tsurugi, where there were a bunch of humans who seemed to side with the dragons, who seemed to hate other humans and were kind of a bit crazy. Of course, they only appeared in the manga, which I'm not sure is actually canon to the games. But, oh boy, that's a lot of enemies. Either that or they're kind of like the Lopt sect, from, FE4. Speaking of which, the Dark God of FE4 has been localized to Loptir, which is interesting. I think his name only comes up in obscure DLC conversations, because it's never a physical presence in Awakening, but, his name gets dropped a few times, apparently, in DLC conversations. So, anyway, we've got to run. We're gonna have to run, and we're gonna have to run a lot in this chapter. Oh boy. Yeah. This is kind of ridiculous. You may notice here that the enemy has pretty much all cavalry. Nina is on foot. This is going to suck. So, also, he says, there are apparently many bandits in the region. Well, this actually seems a little harsh for the time being. When you play the chapter, you are gonna damn well see why. Oh boy, this is gonna be really annoying. So, basically, this mission has a very unique objective, among all the possible chapter objectives in this game. It's similar to stuff that happens, I believe, in the Tellius games, a certain mission objective. I'll explain this when we actually get to start the chapter. So anyway, our mission is to run and get Nina to Aurelis. And protect her as much as we can. Oh boy, we're gonna have to protect her because, yeah. So, right then. See that fort there? Nina has to reach that fort. But before I talk about that, actually, for the last time... And so, Camus the Sable finally joins us. We finally get to use Groot's finest, and he has some really, really amazing growth rates. Wait a second. I think I've seen those amazing growth rates before. Yes, seriously. As if they couldn't make it any more obvious. Oh boy. I'm sorry I completely spoiled everything for you, but I think I can stop pretending now. Yeah, that is pretty conclusive evidence there. I can't believe they actually did that. Then again, most normal people won't actually know the character's growth rates anyway, so they wouldn't be able to notice, but still, speaking of which, there've actually been spoilers hidden in characters' growth rates before, as in, an NPC and a playable character having the same growths, or an NPC having the same growth as a certain enemy, happen an awful lot in Path of Radiance. If you check the, okay, be warned, if you haven't played through all of Radiant Dawn, don't do this. But, going off on a tangent here, if you have, you might find it amusing to go to Serene's Forest page on Path of Radiance and check out the NPC growth rate section. Notice how the Black Knight has the exact same growth rates, affinity, and weapon ranks as a certain other character? Yeah. It's the exact same situation as here. Same weapon ranks, same growths. As if they couldn't make it any more obvious. I think I can stop trying to hide who this guy really is now. But anyway, back on topic. Camus is, well, really, really amazing. He's got great base stats, great growths, great weapon ranks, and he starts with a freaking legendary weapon. A freaking legendary weapon that can freaking restore all his HP at will. Yeah, this guy is pretty overpowered, but he's actually nowhere near broken in this chapter. He's actually far from invincible, and if you try and just charge him into the middle of the entire enemy army, he is gonna die. Now, he is actually one of your Lord characters for this chapter. As if it wasn't obvious enough, your two Lords for this map are Nina and Camus. If either of them dies, you get a game over. So, yeah. Thing is, of course, he's at much less risk of dying than she is, but it actually can happen if you get too overconfident. Even with the Gradivus, he's actually probably going to get owned if you charge him into the majority of the enemies here. You got to be a bit careful with just when you have this guy fight, and how much. Again, he's not invincible, as much as he claims to that in Shadow Dragon. And if you try and, yeah, charge him into the enemies, again, I can't stress this enough though, because it's actually happened to me a few times. Yeah, I've been pretty stupid during the recording of this chapter. But also, yeah, his speed is not quite enough to double everything at first, but conveniently, there's a speed wing on this map that if you give it to him, he will have enough speed to double everything. Of course, sometimes he doesn't really need to be doubling, but still, anyway. In terms of his inventory, you've of course got the Gradivus, but remember it's only got 20 uses, and that will wear out really, really quickly. Especially seeing that even with the Gradivus, he's still only got a 2-hit KO on most enemies. So you're wasting 2 uses per enemy, and that's kind of a bit iffy when you've got only, I don't know, yeah, when you've only got 20 uses. Not only that, but using the healing use of the Gradivus consumes 1 use of it. It also consumes your turn, so be careful when you use that thing. Only use it when you desperately need to get back to full health. And you will need that sometimes in this chapter, trust me. As for his other weapons, use the Silver Lance most of the time. You're going to want to be using that most of the time because, vast majority of the time here, most of the enemies here are going to be Cavaliers and Paladins. They mostly all have either swords or lances. There are a couple of axe-using enemies, but they're so weak that you can take them out with lances anyway. And Camus doesn't really need to worry about getting hit by them, so the silver sword he starts with really isn't that useful unless you really desperately want to conserve his uses of other weapons. Of course, what you can also do is you can also trade him weapons of other characters. You can give him a Brighter's Bane to completely annihilate enemy horsemen. Of course, it roughly ends up doing the same amount of damage as the Gradivus anyway. Or you can give him a Javelin for long-range combat that doesn't consume his legendary weapon. So that's pretty much all I have to say about this guy. Basically, just case in point, he's awesome. Actually, one more thing I need to say. Sorry, I kind of lied there. In the original BS Fire Emblem, Camus' growths were actually quite different. He had 60% growths in everything, including resistance. Yeah. At the time, he was actually revealed, like in the original BS Fire Emblem, that was in fact the single highest resistance growth of any character in the series. I believe it's still one of the highest resistance growths out of any physical user in the whole history of the series. So yeah, again, in the original, he had a 60% resistance growth. Now, I can kind of understand why they removed it though. One reason, it's useless. There are no mages in this chapter. Yeah, it was actually totally pointless because, again, there is nothing in this chapter capable of dealing magical damage, so having resistance is actually useless. So again, actually kind of glad they removed that. Still, it was kind of amusing to see him have that ridiculously high resistance growth, especially for being a physical user. This was before the Sirius started giving Pegasus Knights good resistance growths. That behavior didn't actually start until Fire Emblem 6 and 7, really. In fact, that's going off on a tangent, I'll just stop there. So, suffice to say, this guy is awesome, and you will need to use him quite a bit. Of course, that might impact your experience rank, so you want to give your subordinates a few chances to get experience. But you will need to rely on this guy extensively, because boy, this chapter is bloody hard. I found out that the hard way. Also, this is in fact the, I believe, final character stat sheet I'm going to have to show. I had a lot of fun making these, and I'm glad you guys have enjoyed them. So, yeah, yeah, I don't really know what to say here. This is the last stat sheet, so, again, if you've stuck through the whole thing, then, you know what, I might actually make a compilation video of all of them. Might end up going on for hours, but, anyway. So, yeah. So essentially this is me signing off, in the stat sheet department. Though I do plan to make stat sheets for other games I played, especially other Fire Emblem games. Oh boy, Awakening, oh wow, I'm gonna have to do a lot for Awakening. Okay, here's a heads up on the kind of stat sheets I'm planning on doing for Awakening if I ever cover that game. Not only am I going to do base stats and growths, I'm going to have to show off all potentially learnable skills, all reclass options, and also a few bits of trivia about their voice actors. So that's, oh boy, that's going to be a lot of work. I think I may even need multiple sheets for each character, but then again, there aren't as many characters in that game as there are in this one. Wow, this game had what, like, accounting for VS characters over 80, so I'm glad some people appreciate what I'm doing here with these stat sheets. So, thanks for appreciating my hard work, and I'll see you back in the actual chapter. Wait, sorry, last time I do this I promise. One more thing that I need to mention here, and I thought I may as well do it here. You might notice that I've been pronouncing this guy's name Camus throughout the whole thing. I've gotten a lot of people saying it's actually supposed to be pronounced Chemus or Camus. And I've actually heard it pronounced like that in a whole lot of other Let's Plays of Shadow Dragon. Now, me personally, I believe that Camus, even though it sounds a little stupid, I will admit it does sound silly, but it is the correct pronunciation, for several reasons. One, the Japanese katakana for this guy's name is Camus. Yeah, that's the closest approximation they have. Not only that, but if you listen to the voice acting in BS Fire Emblem, you'll hear Nina pronounce the name the same way, and I'll definitely have clips of that up sooner or later. But, more importantly, I believe his name comes from the French philosopher Albert Camus. I probably pronounced his first name wrong too. But anyway, it's actually French in origin, and it comes from sort of a philosopher's name, and yeah, I believe this is the correct pronunciation. There are a lot of debates springing up over this. It's almost as bad as the whole Illumais, Illumise dilemma in the Pokemon series. But personally, I think Camus is the correct pronunciation, and that's the one I'll be going with. So I had to take a bit of time out to say this. So anyway, without further ado, sorry, no more interruptions, back to the chapter. Hajimari no Toki. It begins. So you'll see, Camus of course has the Gradius. It's a good deal of a jump in might compared to the Silver Lance. The Silver Sword really isn't. I'm really surprised that this game doesn't have that big of a might difference between the Silver Sword and the Silver Lance. It's kind of weird. Anyway, we also have Belf, Robert, and... come on. We also have Nina. She's got a healing staff, but I believe she has the same stats as she did in VS1. She's got a healing staff, but she can't actually fight in this chapter, so yeah, she never will be able to. We also have a whole pack of paladins, all packing lanterns, and Bolzark. He's a Manakete. Interestingly enough, Bolzark is in fact the only enemy Manakete in this entire game. Yeah, in the main story, you only fight transformed dragons, so again, Bolzark, he's the only Manakete you find. You'll also see here a whole bunch of thieves, all carrying items that conveniently are incredibly useful to us. Of course, they just happened to steal items that would have been really useful here. Anyway, also we have some bandits over here. Axemen, archers, we'll deal with these guys later. You might actually remember these guys being mentioned in Sirius's third support conversation in the main story. Third support conversation with my unit. Yeah, interestingly enough, Sirius's third support with my unit actually refers to this chapter an awful lot. Given that you can actually play this immediately after you beat the prologue, most players, if they've tried out this chapter, will probably actually already understand what Sirius is talking about in this conversation. Now, his support actually raises a few other very interesting points. But in Fire Emblem, enemies are always few in number from the enemy side's point of view. Yep, so of course, you know, I've got the legendary lance. Of course, they're going to try and wear that out as soon as possible. Yeah, now Balzac is going to move eventually, but given that he starts so far behind and that he's on foot, it's going to take ages for him to reach you. Oh boy, if he was a wyvern Manakete, that would be so... Funnily enough, his portrait and attire are more evocative of a mage dragon than a fire dragon. But he's not a mage dragon. If he was, then Camus' great resistance growth in the original game would have actually made a difference. So anyway, these bandits are going to run. But of course, you're mounted and they're not. You'll be able to catch up for them pretty quickly. You want to catch up with them though, because there is a village in this chapter, and if they get to the village, they will destroy it. The village actually contains a really useful item, and you kind of want to save it if you have the chance. I would also say you want to save the village for your funds ranking. Actually, that's not quite true, because, just to give you a heads up, this chapter has no funds ranking. It's really weird, and I don't know why. The jury is still out on whether or not it's a glitch or intentional, but for some reason, you don't get any points for funds, regardless of what you do. This means that your ranking in this chapter is going to be considerably lower than in the other BS chapters, which is kind of annoying. Of course, mine's going to be considerably lower anyway. Yeah, I didn't... Now, Robert, I would appreciate if you crit once in a while. Yeah, Robert starts with a killer bow, but don't trust it. It's only got crit rates in the 20s. I've been spoiled by Awakening's amazing crit rates. See, look, no crit either. Now, in Awakening, you can get crit rates in the 40% at least. Pan, how I miss you, critting everything / lethality and everything as an assassin. How I miss you. Anyway, well, of course, Long Hu did the same thing, as did, my avatar with a killer weapon, just a whole bunch of other things, not to mention Sol Fatai having a freaking 50% critical rate. But First Thief is down, and for our efforts, we get Rider's Bane. I like to give this to Camus, because it just makes him, it lets him completely overkill stuff. Now, right here, do not waste the Gradivis on these thieves. You can one-hit kill them with just a sword, so use your silver sword here. There's no risk wasting any of your other weapons. Now, hey, we've got the Speed Wings. You might notice here that Camus gets about as much experience from killing a thief as he does from killing any basic enemy, whereas Belf, Layden, and Roberts all get a freaking lot of experience, actually, so you want to let them kill the thieves when you have the chance. Now, notice how the enemies are closing on you really freaking fast. Yes. See this mountain pass you sort of funneled through? It's the mountain pass of death. Oh, Robert's just out of range. You'd expect horsemen to have better movement rates in forests. Oh boy, if that missed, I would have got really angry. So you'll see. Yeah, it's really, it's good for your experience rank if you let the others get a chance at killing the thieves. Unfortunately, we've got this damn forest in the way. Fortunately, the forest is going to slow down the enemy riders just as much as it slows down us, and that is really crucial, because if it weren't for that forest, I'd actually say that we'd probably end up getting slaughtered really early on. So anyway, yeah, cavalry have pretty bad movement rates in forests. Now, of course, you'll notice here that Camus' inventory is full. You gotta watch out for that. Unlike the original BS Fire Emblem, you don't get a convoy in these ones. I've already said that before. Basically, yeah, if you let him obtain one more item, he's gonna have to chuck it. So, yeah, that's a bit of a problem. Oh boy, those enemies are getting a little too close for comfort. Those thieves are also getting a little too close to the, bandits for comfort. Okay, the next turn these guys will basically be in range of the forest, and the turn after they'll basically spend just getting through the forest. So, we can safely... We'll be safe for a few turns, but you've got to be really careful here. You see, you can't run forever. There is no way you can run forever. You're going to have to make a stand sooner or later. You need to choose where you make your stand. You need to be pretty careful about that. So anyway, actually I believe this scene here was voice acted in the original VS Fire Emblem. I might actually show off the voice acting later. Honestly, I really don't have time with all the stuff I'm saying to show off the voice acting here. I might do it later because, you know what, I actually have... I will say this right now. I didn't show off everything I could in this chapter. I didn't quite do everything I really wished I could have done. Really, I was just so frustrated with the whole thing that I just wanted to have it done. This chapter was kind of a nightmare to me, really. Case in point, this segment right here. Now, you won't see it here, but I actually failed several times around this point. Okay, also, you might have also noticed back in that last conversation, not only did reinforcements begin spawning, but Balzac told the others to send a message to the bandits telling them there's a bounty on all of your heads. You can guess what that means. From this point on, all those bandits will move and attack you if they get in your range. And that is really, really, really bad. You can probably already tell why, but let me explain it. I'm gonna have to chuck something. I'm not really using the silver sword, so I can safely really chuck it. Anyway, those bandits, they're gonna move towards you now. They're not that strong, but they're annoying, and they bog you down. Yep, you can tell what's coming. If you get bogged down long enough, the cavalry will approach you and smash you in the rear. This is where things get really annoying. See this mountain pass here? You have a very good chance of getting sandwiched, and it's not a nice feeling when that happens. I'm sorry, I just thought of, you were almost a Sable Knight sandwich. It's gonna happen sooner or later, and you want to be ready when it does. If it happens while Nina is exposed, you are dead. Nina cannot withstand any attacks in this chapter. Let me just put this in perspective. The Bandit Axeman, kill her in one hit. The Paladins, kill her in one hit. The Horsemen, double her, kill her in one round. The Cavaliers, I think she might be able to survive one attack from them. The Bandit Archers as well. She can survive one hit from them, but other than that, yeah, no. Just no. Now, originally my strategy was to actually send Camus back and have him make a stand in the earlier forests against the army and trying to thin their numbers a little bit before they get to Nina. I attempted this in one of my runs and it failed miserably. Resulted not only in likely death for him, but everyone else just could not handle the bandits alone and they ended up massively dying. So that was bad. Eventually, I ended up getting stuck with Nina in the middle and defending on both sides, bandits on one side, Dolurians on the other, and that did not end well. So I had to restart that whole thing. I actually recorded a little bit further of a whole run that actually ended up failing and I had to abandon. So that was really irritating. Now, I'm actually deliberately letting Camus thin their numbers a little bit. I know it's bad for my experience rank. I just want to do this so that I have a safe place for Nina, because those cavalry are going to be on her sooner or later. Also, my job here is... Oh, now you dodge! Trust me, in the fail channel, you'll see why I'm so annoyed that he happens to decide now to start dodging a lot. Watch this. So you dodge when you have weapon triangle disadvantage, but I don't kill much. But earlier on, when I had you fight the knights, they all used their lances and only had what 50 to 40% chance of hitting. He never dodged once. I'm gonna rage when the fail channel for this episode comes along. Yeah, I had one failed attempt that resulted because, essentially, long story short, Camus got hit about 10 times, 50%, and he never dodged a single one. That was so frustrating. Yeah, you can tell why I really... Boy. By the way, see those reinforcements? They're endless, for all I know. They never stop coming. On the plus side, that means that your experience rank for this map is theoretically infinite. You can technically get it all the way up to 999. On the minus side, you'll end up getting 0 for all your other categories if you do that. What this also means is that if you just try and stay in one spot and think, oh, I can just take all the enemies while Nina escapes. No, you can't. You will get overwhelmed eventually, especially with the major lack of healing you have in this chapter. Right, I think I should probably talk about the healing situation. I'm just getting rid of these bandits. My goal here is to eliminate these bandits and then use these forests as a base, essentially, to take on the enemy, cavaliers. They're gonna crash into our lines soon, and there's nothing we can do to stop them. Again, because Nina's on foot and everyone else is mounted, and most of the enemies are mounted, she will not be able to escape them forever, and you will have to fight sooner or later. You can't just run the whole time. It just doesn't work that way. I'll just one-shot you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear out this forest, use it as a base for taking on the enemy hordes, while Nina slowly escapes. What my plan is to form kind of a battle line to protect Nina, and move the line back a little bit each turn, just thereby shuffling Nina back repeatedly. Damn it, Robert! Robert was spectacularly useless for me in this chapter, I will say. Yeah, he was useless. The one thing you gotta be careful about with Robert is Robert has absolutely paper-thin defense. If he gets attacked by 2 axemen in one turn, he's gonna die. So don't let that happen. If he gets attacked by 2 of anything in one turn, he's gonna die, actually. So his defense is ridiculously low. Then again, I guess the whole, the whole gimmick with hunters and horsemen in this game is they've got better offense and speed than regular archers, but worse defense. But this equates to, I don't know why Robert has such paper-thin defense. Now, I kind of banked on getting lucky with Layden here. Speaking of Layden, his name could actually potentially be translated as Raiden, aka the Japanese Thunder God, also more commonly known as either a character in Mortal Kombat or a character in Metal Gear Solid who originally seemed like a whiny emo who no one liked. And then Metal Gear Rising came out, and he became one of the biggest badasses ever. I've only seen videos of that game, but I still think he's awesome. Slice cyborgs to pieces and use their parts to upgrade yourself. Such an awesome concept for a game. I completely digressed there. Anyway, kind of funny how the Layden/Raiden in this game, most people prefer to reclass him to Swordmaster, which is kind of funny considering that's pretty much what the Metal Gear Solid Raiden is. Anyway, that's really going off topic, but at the moment, he's going to be a bit of a coward and run away. Simply because, I cannot afford to use everyone here, because Nina can't heal everyone here. So, let me talk about the one thing that makes this chapter so damn difficult. Healing, or lack thereof. Now, you only have 2 sources of healing in this whole chapter. One of them, in fact, only applies to one character, so it's actually pretty pointless anyway. I mean, pointless to call it sort of healing, really. So, your only 2 sources of healing are, 1, Nina, and she actually doesn't heal all that much, to be honest. Like, seriously, she really doesn't restore all that much HP. Her magic stat is just nowhere near high enough. Anyway, we're gonna have to do a talk with Camus here. This is the only optional conversation you get in this whole chapter, annoyingly. So, sadly, well, Layden and Robert are left with not that much development. Then again, Welf did get some pretty good development in the main story, in his support with Sirius. Because, well, actually, I'm not actually going to be able to show it in this playthrough, so let me just outright say it. Welf manages to find out who Sirius really is. Yeah, he's not stupid like everyone else. He actually knows. And, yeah, he promises to keep it a secret, though. Getting, well, really lucky there. Well, oh dear, let's hope no one else can hit him this time. So anyway, back to the healing problem. So basically, outside of using the Gratifus's full heal effect, which of course only one character can actually benefit from in this map, Nina is your only source of healing. That's really problematic for a few reasons. One, I've already mentioned, she actually doesn't do that good a job as a healer. She doesn't really restore that much HP, her magic stat isn't really that high. Even in Men's Staff, she only recovers, what, like less than 20 HP? But the other problem with Nina and the whole healing situation is that healing with Nina requires her to spend a turn not running away. You can kind of see the problems with that already. Now here, Camus not doubling Paladins is actually kind of helpful, because it means that you don't have multiple Paladins attacking you in one turn. That is the biggest source of Camus death in this chapter. Oh, it's happened to me so many times. Seriously, the fail channel for this episode, oh boy, that's gonna take a while to edit together. I have so much fail footage for this one. Oh, well, and I'm just basically speeding along the enemy turns because there's just so many enemies. Eventually, I'm gonna just outright skip them. I know I actually don't normally skip animations in Fire Emblem. I'm actually gonna end up skipping the enemy turns in this one, just because, they just go on so long, and it's kind of pointless because the vast majority of the enemies aren't in any position to actually do anything. So anyway, every turn Nina spends healing someone is a turn she's not spending running away. Every turn she's not spending running away is one extra turn for the reinforcements to get close and completely overwhelm you. Yeah, you really want to make sure that you actually get out of here as soon as possible. It's in your best interest to go for speed in this chapter and just get Nina away. Complete it as soon as you can, because you will not survive against the massive hordes of reinforcements here. You just won't. Not even this guy will survive that. So anyway, I believe I may have already used the Seraph Robe on Camus. I like doing that. Well, he only did one hit anyway. I like doing that because it just helps him survive more, really, and he's going to be our main tank, sort of, so he needs high HP. Sometimes, with not full HP, he does tend to die, so... Anyway, now, interesting thing about the Gratifus here. According to Sirius's support with my unit in the main story, apparently it's actually canon that the Gratifus broke in this chapter, and it was probably repaired sometime between this one and Shadow Dragon. So, that is... yeah, kind of interesting. Of course, I'm going to go out of my way not to break it here. Of course, if the funds ranking worked like it did in the GBA games in this one, then you probably never want to use the Gratifus at all. I still really don't like how the Game Boy Advance game's funds ranking works. It's really counterproductive. It forces you to just keep rare weapons on you and never use them because of the gold they're worth. It's kind of... I just don't know, and not only that, it makes the silver card completely broken, to the point where in ranked tier lists of Fire Emblem 7, Matthew is up to skipping this right now. And now this conversation, it's funny, the official script that's up on Serene's Forest is actually not sure exactly when this conversation takes place. So, I guess this is after a certain number of turns have passed, or when the Gratifus's use has run down a little bit, I'm not sure. So anyway, okay, back to what I was saying, yeah, the GBA game's ranked funds ranking. I just found it really counterproductive. It was just kind of annoying, like, again, forcing you to play, and again, like, in the tier lists for ranked playthroughs, Matthew was put at the top tier simply on virtue of the fact that he can steal the silver card. Yeah, that's the sole reason. The silver card is that broken going by the GBA game's fund system. For those of you not in the know, it essentially means that because you can buy items for half their worth, you essentially gain half their worth towards your funds rank for free every time you use it. But of course we don't have to worry about that because this chapter has no funds rank at all. Back on topic, you'll see what I'm doing here is what I explained to you earlier. My strategy is to use these woods as a base, and every turn, retreat the battle line back a little bit. Essentially, I retreat it by as far as Nina can move, essentially. I want to try and get her to move as far as possible while still healing. We're slowly inching our way towards the top 4. Now, I actually forgot to mention this earlier on, but The chapter ends once Nina reaches that fort. It's not crucial for anyone else to escape, just her. So technically speaking, this is more of an arrive chapter than an escape chapter, really. Oh boy, that guy circumvented the woods. That surprised me. I didn't realize he could do that. So, yeah. Now, interesting thing here. The moment you see Balzac move, you know that no other enemies will attack you this turn. Yeah, the AI moves its units in a very specific way. How it works is, firstly, it moves all the units that are in position to attack you. After everyone who can attack you has moved, then the rest of the enemies who aren't in range of you move, starting with Balzac, the boss. So here's a little rule of thumb. Unless Balzac is actually in range of you, in which case, what the hell are you doing? Every time you see him move, you know that the rest of your units are safe for the turn. I like going by that rule. It helps sometimes. Now, speaking of help, we're almost at this village. Guelph has been surviving for a long time on 1 HP, but he's heroically managing to get to this village. Not worrying about treating his own wounds until he manages to make sure they're safe. Now, Balzac the boss is all the way up there. At this point I was contemplating whether or not I could actually stall long enough to actually fight him. I probably won't be able to. So, in fact, I wasn't able to. So, let me just explain the whole situation with... Damn it, Robert. Robert is not being good in this chapter, I will say. Layden certainly is, though. Wow, you certainly win the award for most spectacular overkill this game. Wow. In all the BS chapters, I've never seen that much overkill. Now, those horsemen, you want to watch out for those horsemen. Like I've said before, they are guaranteed to double Nina, and that is guaranteed to kill her. So if a horseman is in range of Nina, she dies. Guaranteed. You do not want that to happen. So, yeah, be really careful. Now, Camus only has 2 uses left of that Grativus. I was kind of saving uses in case boss came, but I didn't really need that. Really what he should have done here is used it to heal himself, but... Oh, well, I guess I can get more experience with healing this way. See, look, only 17 HP. 17 HP! I was even checking out the descriptions of the healer men staffs to check that they were actually right, because, wow, a men staff only healing 17. That is kind of pathetic. Now, you don't want Robert to get attacked, but if you are letting him get attacked, you want to equip his sword. Funny thing about, Horsemen in this game, I may have actually mentioned this before, that, the sword animations of Horsemen is virtually identical to the sword animation of... Wow, we're safe already? Oh, okay. It's identical to the sword animation of, Rangers in Sacred Stones. So, I always thought that the Horseman class was actually going to be localized as Ranger, but no, it kept its Japanese name. Funny trivia about, I probably already mentioned this, but the Ranger class in Sacred Stones was actually known as Forest Knight in the Japanese version. Yes, the same class that appeared in FE4. So, that's kind of interesting. Right, now we've finally rescued this village. Ugh. And the thing is, in the original BS Fire Emblem, this village only gave you a vulnerary. So I was thinking, oh my gosh, what could I possibly get out of this village? It's going to be so useless. Oh, you're going to give me a stupid vulnerary, aren't you? Yeah, you're going to be ungrateful bastards and only give me a Boots? Seriously? Wow. When I first played this, I actually didn't know that you got boots out of that village, and wow, that is amazing. Again, in a chapter where you're spending the whole time running, that is incredibly useful. Technically speaking, if at all possible, that should go to Nina. And finally giving Camus the Rider's... Damn it! At least he's attacking twice. Yeah, the one problem with the Rider's Bane that Est found out back in the second BS chapter is that it's kind of got a bit of... It's got accuracy issues, basically. I guess it's kind of like Fire Blast in the Pokemon series, in that, it's powerful when it does hit, but it does have a tendency to fail you at the worst times. But, I mean, it's usually reliable enough to still use, unlike Focus Miss, or Focus Fail. Okay, now, here's a problem here. Layden is actually keeping that gap blocked, but unfortunately, he is going to die if I don't heal him. If I do heal him, that horseman is going to shoot Nina. This is bad. Is there somewhere Nina can go where I'll be able to heal Layden and I won't have to... this is going to be a problem. Because you see, if that horseman does attack Nina, we can say bye-bye to her face. Oh, this is tricky. This is very... Oh! You see, if he could one-hit kill that guy, then we would probably be safe. As it stands... Oh, come on! You're 1 HP off a one-hit kill? Seriously? See, this is what gets really annoying about the VS chapters, is that sometimes your stats just so happen to be rigged so that you're literally 1 damage off one-hit killing stuff. Anyway. Right, I could actually theoretically take that guy out now, but that would mean that guy would be in range of Nina. Then it would shoot her face off. That would be good. Now, if I move Layden 1 space down, I might be able to do this. I just might be able to do this. I can't do that though, because if he doesn't get a critical, then Nina's dead. And, well, I know better than to trust full criticals. I don't trust that either. This is tricky. Okay, oh! Phew! Okay. That was close. Okay, yeah, if that didn't work, then I would have been screwed, but it did work. It looks like the horseman is out of range this turn. Phew! Well, he's not out of range of this guy, but... Ow. At least Layden's doing a good job, and Balzac moving means we're safe. See, reinforcements just keep coming. I'm pretty sure they're endless. So, again, don't try and fight all the enemies in this chapter. You will die. You will just get overwhelmed and die. And that is not a good way to die. We're getting close. We really are. We've taken out most of the initial wave. We've got more waves incoming. Also, note that from here on in, the horsemen have silver bows. Which, yeah, I mean, they're a little bit more painful. But we've finally reached a large open plain, which is a problem, because it means if we get caught here, then chances are we're all going to get slaughtered. Oh, Nina's getting there, she's getting there, we're so close, a few more turns and I'll be done with this damn chapter! Sorry, I apologise if my commentary sounds a little unenthusiastic in this chapter. This chapter was not fun for me in the slightest. I just really didn't enjoy this one that much. It was just so frustrating. You'll see the number of failures I had. Again, I just got so frustrated with it, really. And in the end, I was basically, whoa, nice level up there. In the end, I was basically just, I don't know, I just wanted it to end. I just really just wanted it to be over. I just did not enjoy this one, I'm sorry to say. Don't worry, the downloadable chapters will be different. Trust me, they're all pretty interesting, and I'll have a lot to say about those. But this one in particular, I'm sorry, I just did not enjoy this one, really. I remember when I first played this one, I did a random test run, and I had everyone die except my main characters. Yeah, trying to do that without that happening, yeah, it's annoying. I will admit that I didn't play this the best I could. I should have let, Layden and Robert the Fail get more kills. I probably should have for the experience rank, but sadly, now again, oh, those boots. I really wish I could get them to us, but unfortunately, there's just no way I'm actually getting there in time. Unfortunately, we only need to survive one more turn and then we're home free. So yeah, Nina's within range of the fort, one more turn and we're safe. So, if we can just survive this turn, we're good. Shame I never got to use the boots though. Come on. Ooh. Oh dear, this is bad. This could be bad. But if I survive one more turn, if Balzac moves... And he did, okay? It ain't over till the big fire dragon moves. And it is. We're safe. We are safe. Nina can get to the fort next turn. We're safe. We're safe. We don't have to deal with this chapter. Though annoyingly enough, I may have to do this chapter again. I'm not looking forward to that, I must say. And oh boy, they've found Belf. This is not going to end well. Yikes, the AI is smart sometimes. Yep, they have found Belf. That means that if I don't finish this chapter this turn, they're going to hunt him down and kill him. Oh wow, I can just imagine the drama here. He's all in hiding, and suddenly he realizes the enemies are on him. Wow! Hey, Robert, you didn't fail for once! Yeah. And level up, at least. So basically my goal here is just get as many kills as I possibly can before we leave, for the sake of the experience rank. Sadly, Layden is, not being able to, want to kill anything here. But, I came up with a... Wait a minute, don't want to do that. You see, yeah, if I use the speed wings, he probably could double stuff. But, well, you know... If that happened, then he would waste his turn, and thus he wouldn't even be able to kill stuff this turn in the first place. But, I had a cunning plan. Go, Belf! For great wow! Awesomeness! That was really good, Belf. I will stop referring to your name, like it was stupid, even though it kinda is. Anyway, Belf and Layden tag team, go! Oh, you're getting pretty good level ups. So anyway, one more kill with Canoe, and that's probably it. And as this chapter... And a spectacular kill at that, wow! You've just overtaken Layden's spot for most spectacular overkill in the whole of BS Fire Emblem. So, this map is over, and thus the whole of BS Fire Emblem. And Hardin, are you seriously going to take on this whole army with 3 cabs and 2 horsemen? Seriously? Wait a second. 3 cabs, 2 horsemen? I didn't realize this when I was first playing this chapter, but that's the Wolf Guard. Roshi, Violet, and Hardin are the 3 cabs, and Wolf and Sega are the 2 horsemen. They're the Wolf Guard. I didn't realize that the first time. That's interesting. So, yeah. Actually, I take that back. The Wolf Guard could probably take these guys, especially if Wolf and Senga have their Super Shadow Dragon growth rates at this point. I also think this is, ironically, the first time you hear the happy victory theme in all of the BS chapters, which is funny because the chapter's incredibly, depressing, and... Well, Nina, I do not blame you for fainting after all that. That was bloody hard. And thus, a love triangle was born that would put the entire continent in jeopardy. Anyway, something interesting I've got to say about this last section. Now, given that Bullsark is giving the speech here to, oh, you're defeated and you cannot hope to survive, make your time. I was thinking, what happens if Bullsark is dead? Does it mean you can't kill him? Does he just retreat? Well, no, and this is why I might have to do this chapter again! I seriously don't want to, but I might have to if I want to show off everything this game has to offer. Because, if Bullsark has been killed, he doesn't deliver the speech here. Instead, Medius himself does. And that's actually reward in and of itself. You see, Bullsark is... Oh boy, that's not... Bullsark is the only BS Fire Emblem boss you're not required to kill. But killing him, wow, oh dear. Oh no. No, don't strip him, then the fangirls will swarm him. Not the fangirls, no! Anyway. So, it was kind of a happy ending for Nina, but incredibly depressing for this guy. Oh boy, is it depressing. I'll talk more about the Medius situation after this. Being nursed back to health by Hardin, and him falling in love with her, and that putting the entire continent in jeopardy. Oh, wow, that's depressing. Yeah, he didn't get reinstated to the army until Marth started attacking them. They realized, well, this guy's our best general. We have to, you know, get him out of our dungeon. So anyway... A few months later, one young man answered Nina's call, leaving the island that was his refuge. That young man was Marth. And we all know how that story goes. So anyway, on to my rankings. Speed, pretty nice. Survival, perfect score. Experience, yep. Like I said before, there is no funds rank for this chapter. Rescuing the village or obtaining items from the thieves does nothing. Experience, I could have done a lot better here, so overall my rank here was pretty disappointing, but really, I just wanted to have this damn chapter out of the way. So, yeah, so ends that chapter, and... There I have, I've completed Arcania Chronicles. Next time, we take on the downloadable chapters. See you then! Except just one little thing before I stop. I didn't get a chance to fully explain what happens in the ending cutscene if you manage to defeat the boss. Like I was saying, Medius himself gives the end of chapter speech rather than Bulzark. But not only that, in the speech, Medius praises Camus and says that no one else has managed to put up this much of a fight since Unri himself. Now, in my opinion, that conversation is actually kind of breaking the fourth wall. By, the big bad himself, considering Camus a complete and total badass for doing what he did, in a way, it's kind of the game telling the player that they are awesome too. Bulzark is probably the closest thing this game has to a bonus boss, as in an overpowered optional boss. That kind of gives you bragging rights for beating him. I personally think the bragging rights are totally worth it. You get the game's main villain essentially telling you how awesome you are. So, yeah, I would like to show that eventually, but it would require me to actually kill that guy and beat the chapter as well. I don't know, if worse comes to worse, I may have to resort to a turn-by-turn walkthrough because I'm so sorry, I just did not like this chapter that much. It just wasn't fun for me. But don't worry, the next few chapters are certainly going to be fun. So, with that, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you again when we cover the downloadable chapters. So, yeah, see you then.